Let me say this. Black life has to matter to us first. I'm gonna say it again. Black life has to matter to us first. And I think what has happened is we're so used to being traumatized, we're so used to being oppressed that we have normalized a lot of the things that aren't really normal. I don't think we realize that we are not supposed to live how we live. We are not supposed to live in an oppressed state. And so I think we normalize our oppression. And part of it is justifying things that we do that are negative. I think we tend to want to blame other groups for us doing things that we just shouldn't do. So many of you all argue with me about why there is black on black violence. That there's no such thing as black on black crime because each group does crime to their own group. It's about proximity. But black on black violence is something that is different because we have a lot higher homicide rates. And a lot of you all want to convince me that it's some kind of conspiracy. Now you all want to convince me that white people are sneaking in the hood dressed as black people and killing black people. Now that could be the case. My only problem is, why aren't they getting caught? Why have they never gotten caught doing it? Why have they never gotten caught doing those types of things? Why have they never gotten caught sneaking into the neighborhood and killing us? And if white people are doing it, then why are we not setting up shop? Why are we not monitoring? Why are we not setting up cameras? Why are we not setting up undercover sting operations? Why are we not being proactive if white people are coming into our neighborhoods and killing us? I will tell you why we're not doing it. We're not doing it because we don't believe it. We are not doing it because we don't believe it. We know that black on black violence is a real thing. Now, we may not want to admit it, but we know that it's a real thing. I grew up in these environments, so I know what's going on. And if white people are able to go into our neighborhoods and kill us this easily, then guess what? It's over anyway. So now that we got that stuff out of the way, I want to talk about Black Life Mattering. And I want to talk about Black Lives Matter. Now, Black Lives Matter is a group that is ran by the LGBTQP, don't forget X, Y, and Z community, the liberals, and the Democrats. Those are the groups behind Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter was started when Trayvon Martin was killed by George Zimmerman. So that means the foundation of the organization was started when George Zimmerman killed Trayvon Martin. Black Lives Matter was founded on black death. It was founded on black trauma. It was founded on the death of, again, Trayvon Martin by the hands of George Zimmerman. So the key components are a young black man or black man being killed by a non-black person with a racially motivated reason. I want to put Black Lives Matter in context. So whenever there's a racially motivated or believed to be racially motivated killing of a black man by a person that is non-black, and they can be a civilian or a police officer, when that happens, Black Lives Matter steps on the scene. You see protests, you see rallies, and you see speeches, and you also see donations pouring in. So contextually, Black Lives Matter profits off of black men or young black men being killed for racially motivated reasons. Black Lives Matter doesn't show up when it's us killing us. You know why? Because there's no money to be made in black people killing black people because you can't spin the narrative. There's no money to be made with black people killing black people because you can't tie a political agenda to it. You know why? Because the problem stems from racism. The problem is systemic. So to fix the black on black violence, you would have to fix the system. And that is the system of racism. And racism is economic. Do you understand how these groups out here are not solution-based? They are not solution-based groups because the solution rests in economics. So systemic racism does have a trickle-down effect, and it does trickle down to black-on-black violence. So we see that Black Lives Matter is very opportunistic when it comes to black death. And that is because their agenda is an agenda led by the LGBTQP community. My bad. Don't forget X, Y, and Z. There's no money to be made with black people killing black people because you can't tie a political agenda to it. You know why? because the problem stems from racism. The problem is systemic. So to fix the black on black violence, you would have to fix the system. And that is the system of racism. And racism is economic. Do you understand how these groups out here are not solution-based? They are not solution-based groups because the solution rests in economics. So systemic racism does have a trickle-down effect, and it does trickle down to black on black violence. So we see that Black Lives Matter is very opportunistic when it comes to black death. And that is because their agenda is an agenda led by the LGBTQP community. My bad. Don't forget X, Y, and Z. But the group has everything to do with black lives being more oppressed. Every city that has high homicide rates among the black community should be shut down by Black Lives Matter. But we do not hold Black Lives Matter accountable, just like we don't hold the Democrats accountable, just like we don't hold the Republicans accountable, just like we don't hold anybody accountable. So much to the point that nobody bothered to go to their website and actually read what they believe in. Nobody bothered to go to their website and actually read what they are about. Everything they stand for is against the black family. Everything we are fighting for, they don't stand for. They literally don't want black men around. Nobody bothered to go to their website and actually read what they are about. Everything they stand for is against the black family. Everything we are fighting for, they don't stand for. They literally don't want black men around. They only want black men around to die so they can get more funding.
Because I cannot believe Black Lives Matter is about basically coming out of your mouths again. These women hate you, black men. The only way you're accepted into their movement is unless you're gay or you're a trans woman. That's the only way. Other than that, they do not like straight black men.
This is why I harp on black so much, because they put black in front of something and we automatically assume that it's for us. They put black in front of something and we automatically think that it is for us. It is emotional manipulation. So they bank on the fact that we will run with our emotions versus actually sitting down and reading. Actually sitting down, reading, and formulating an opinion based on what's presented to us, not based on what they say. So when you see black leadership, you know it's an extension of white oppression. You know it's an extension of racism. When you see Black Lives Matter, you know it's an extension of white oppression. You know it's an extension of racism. When they throw black in front of something, it's only done to appeal to your emotions. It's not done to appeal to your needs. It's done to appeal to your emotions. So Black Lives Matter is detrimental to our community. Why? Because they will gain so much power in the future. Guess what? They will be speaking for black people. They will be the voice for black people. They will be the ones making decisions for you and I. And who will those decisions benefit? Those decisions will benefit the LGBTQ community. My bad, the LGBTQP, don't forget X, Y, and Z community.
Let's click on it, what we believe. So once you get through all this bullshit about Trayvon Mountain and, oh, we hear Black Global, blah, blah, blah. Then we get down to their agenda. Let's read it. We see ourselves as part of the global black family. That's communism. I'll talk about that later. And we are aware of the different ways we are impacted or privileged as black people who exist in different parts of the world. We are guided by the fact that all black lives matter regardless of actual or perceived sexual identity, gender identity, gender expression. Black folks, what does Black Lives Matter have the fuck to do with sexual identity, gender identity, and gender expression? Oh, don't worry, I'll tell it to you. Economic status. Communism. They don't want there's no such thing as poor or rich. Everybody got to be all fucked up on one payment scale. I'll talk about that later.
Black Lives Matter as an organization is very detrimental to our existence. I'm telling you this now. They mean to destroy our community even further. They mean to keep us oppressed. I am telling you, they have a socialist agenda, a communist agenda on top of their LGBTQP, don't forget X, Y, and Z agenda.
Ability and disability, religious beliefs or disbeliefs, immigration status or location. Isn't immigration fucking up the black community as it is? I do believe that Compton is no longer black anymore because of immigration. But let me just go on. Let me go on. We make space for transgender brothers and sisters to participate and lead. Let me say it again, just in case you niggas forgot how to fucking comprehend words. We make space for transgender brothers and sisters to participate and lead. Do you know that you cannot be a straight black male or even a straight black female and hold a leadership position in the Black Lives Matter organization? Did you not know this? If you're straight, you have no need for them except when they want you for muscle, when they want you to riot and get shot and to sit up here and get killed and do all kinds of vandalism and this, that, and they want you as foot soldiers because you're expendable. But you will never hold leadership position as somebody straight. They call us cis.
They represent further bondage. If they cared about black people, they would be in every city where the black homicide rate is high, and they would be shutting the city down. They would go to war with all these gangs terrorizing our communities. They would go to war with all these gangs terrorizing our community. They would be the ones setting up posts if these so-called white groups are coming to our communities and killing us. They would be the ones protecting us, but they don't. And they don't because ain't no money in black people killing black people.
We are self-reflective and do work required to dismantle cisgendered privilege. Now, those of you who don't know what cisgendered privilege means, it means biologically straight. It means you are a straight man or a straight woman. They have no need for anyone who is heterosexual in their movement, and they do not promote heterosexuality in the black community. And uplift black trans folks, especially black trans women, who continue to be disproportionately impacted by trans antagonistic violence. So when y'all go out there and talk about some Black Lives Matter, this is what you're dying for. This is what you're fighting for, dumbasses. We build a space that affirms black women. Hey, where's the black man at? Just black women? Aren't we having a problem with the matriarchy as it is? We build a space that affirms black women and is free from sexism, misogyny, and environments in which men are centered. Oh, you hate to see it, don't you? You hate to see it. And you niggas are going out there and you dying for these motherfuckers.
Now, do I have a problem with the LGBTQP, don't forget X, Y, and Z community? Of course not. But what you can't do is you can't say your Black Lives Matter and then have a complete, total gay agenda. You can't say you're with Black Lives Matter and have a socialist agenda. You can't say you're with Black Lives Matter and have a communist agenda. You can't say you're with Black Lives Matter and have a democratic agenda. You can't say you're with Black Lives Matter and have a liberal agenda, because it's deception. You are being dishonest. Black Lives Matter is nothing more than a Trojan horse. I said it. Black Lives Matter is nothing more than a Trojan horse or a Trojan unicorn with a rainbow horn.
They're hiding it in plain sight. They're hiding it in plain sight because they know you niggas don't read. They know you niggas don't read. We practice empathy. We engage comrades. By the way, comrades is communism. I'm going to show you. A lot of you all don't understand how fucked up communism is. I'll explain that when we get to Antifa in a minute. With the intent to learn about and connect with their context, we make our spaces family friendly and enable parents to fully participate with their children. We dismantle the patriarchal practice. We dismantle the patriarchal practice that requires mothers to work double shifts bullshit so that they can mother in private, even as they participate in public justice work.
And I also want to highlight that when it comes to black people, the LGBTQP, don't forget X, Y, and Z community is acting just like these other racist groups. They are acting no different than any other group that practices systemic racism. So don't try to exclude them from the power structure. Don't try to exclude them from systematic and systemic racism.
And then they talk about to extend families as villages that collectively care for one another, especially our children, to the degree that mothers, parents, and children are comfortable. By the way, there's no fathers. Did you see this? That mothers, parents, and children. Parents means transgender women and transgender men and gay men and lesbians. Those are parents. But you notice you don't see the word father. Did you see the word father here? Let me ask you, I could be blind. I could be blind. Does anybody see the word father? Chat, you see the word father in here? I don't see it either. Isn't it important that we have fathers in our lives?
If you want to destroy the black family, if you want to destroy the traditional black family that is black man, black woman, black child, if you want to destroy the family, then you are against black people. You are against the black community. You are against us as a nation.
Let's continue to read. We foster a queer affirming network. We foster a queer affirming network. When we gather, we do so with the intention of freeing ourselves from the tight grip of heteronormative. That means if you are straight, you have no business, and you have no business in Black Lives Matter, and they do not see you as something worth fighting for. Thinking, or rather the belief, that all the world are heterosexual. Less than 1% of the black community falls underneath the LGBT umbrella.
The LGBTQP community would never let you go into their organization with another agenda. They wouldn't allow it. So why are we allowing it? You could never go into any LGBTQP organization and overrun it with a black agenda. You could never go into an LGBTQP organization and overrun it with a black agenda. A black agenda would never take precedence over anything that a LGBTQP organization was doing. As I've said, this is an extension of systemic and systematic racism. As I've said, this is still oppression.
Know thy enemy, black folks. Without straight people, these three-hand hateful females wouldn't exist. There you go, the man in black. There you go. Know thy enemy. Know thy enemy. Know thy enemy. You need to recognize your enemies for who they are.
And I'm telling us right now, we need to stop supporting Black Lives Matter. We need to stop supporting Black Lives Matter, because you know what's going to end up happening? They're going to be speaking for you and I, and then guess what? Your black life won't matter at all. Wait for it. Free Blance. Give money. Go.